Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Black Rabbit Collective. This is the final episode in the Jackson County primary candidate series. We have a wonderful guest joining us this afternoon. Early voting ended yesterday. Election day is coming up on Tuesday, March 3rd, right around the corner. So we've spoken to most candidates on the ticket. Most have shown up, been available. I want to introduce you to a lovely soul, somebody that caught my eye last year in regards to the library situation and all that's taken place in Jackson County over the last few years. Miss Casey Walawender.
Hi.
What is up?
Not much. It's been a long day already, it feels like, but we're here.
It probably feels like it's been a long couple months for you.
Yeah, that's very true. It has been. Yep.
I wanted to really just start off from the very beginning. I've talked a lot on this podcast with almost every candidate about all the buzzwords that everybody's throwing out. And I wanted to get transparent with the audience first, anybody that's tuning in. Casey, you caught my eye back in, was it early February into January. An article came out from the Silver Herald, Smoky Mountain News, that the Jackson County GOP was like spreading around, had leaked some text messages or pictures of text messages that were taken over your shoulder. And it's just really like toxic behavior for the campaign trail. That article hit the Smoky Mountain News, and the morning that I picked it up, I made a $25 financial contribution to your campaign. And you're the only candidate that I donated to, and it was because of that. And so I just wanted the audience to know that, yes, I'm an unaffiliated voter. Yes, I don't align with either political party necessarily, but I did make a contribution to your campaign. That is public information. I ain't hiding nothing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And it was because I was covering it. I was covering the story. There's a link to that video that I made in the comments right now. So if you're not up to date in what happened, just hit that link or pick up a copy of the Smoky Mountain News and Silver Herald.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. So really the reason why I invited everybody onto this podcast is really for like a get to know you. Like I just want to know who the person is kind of behind the candidates. I want to know like your life's experience, your body of work, how that has molded you into the person that you are today, and how that has kind of created the leader that you are, and what type of like leadership characteristics that you possess. We've seen you at the podium, right? We've heard your thoughts. We've heard your opinions. You've been one of the most vocal people in regards to like showing up, in regards to making public comment, in regards to not giving up. You know, that those county commissioners' rooms went from being overflowing to a very small audience in the matter of like weeks. In a matter of weeks. And you were always there. You were always there. And I thank you for that. Yeah. Seeing you at the podium and hearing all the wonderful things that you had to say to the county commissioners. I really want to know, like, when your notebooks close, when you're not doing your research, when you're not paying attention to those things. I really want to know just like, who is the neighbor, Casey Walawender? Like, who are you?
Yeah. Do you have specific questions you want me to start with, or just?
I do. Well, let's start with an easy one. I'm somebody, we're creatures of habit, and I have like a really like solid routine, and I have it laid out in place because I need structure in my life to survive. I need to have my life structured in a very like organized way. So you're a mom, and I figure you probably find yourself at the grocery store quite often. I want to know, what type of grocery shopper are you? Are you somebody that keeps a meticulous list of everything the family needs, and you go there and you hit the list and you're in and out? Are you somebody that goes there for like a place of refuge to get a little bit of peace and quiet, and you just enjoy like strolling the aisles? Like, how do you make just those basic decisions in your life?
Grocery shopping. This is an interesting one to start with. So I used to love going to the grocery store with my mom. So I have 3 siblings. Our house was always loud and crazy. And so going to the grocery store was like, oh, I get to go be with my mom by myself. And if you went to the grocery store, you kind of got to have a say in what was picked out, right? So like, I don't know what kind of family you grew up in, but like, we were a very typical like 90s food family, I think. Like hamburger helper, tuna casserole. It was like you always had a meat and a vegetable and a starch, right? Like that's the way it was. And cereal for breakfast. So if you went to the grocery store, you got to pick out cereal and like the flavor of Kool-Aid. And so I loved going to the grocery store when I was little. And then, oh my God, I could go on about grocery stores forever. So moving to Jackson County, the grocery store shopping becomes different because I grew up in Charlotte. You could go to the grocery store, you'd never see a single person that you knew. You go to the grocery store in Jackson County, and it's like a social event or not, right? Like you kind of have to go in prepared for whether or not it's a social event. And then like, how long are you going to talk to people? What do you do if you run into somebody you don't really want to talk to? What are you going to do if you see your like best friend at the grocery store and you want to like catch up, but you have to be somewhere? And so the grocery store is interesting for me, and it depends on where I am in life. Like, this is such a weird story, but about 5 years ago, I got a pretty bad brain injury. And one of the things that happened with that brain injury was that my eyes and my brain like weren't tracking together. So going to the grocery store became a nightmare, like because I couldn't scan shelves and like noises and lights and everything. So there was like also a time where I just like stayed out of the grocery store. But now I go back and forth. Like on a good week, I'm very meticulous and I'll have my list and I'll actually like order online and just go pick up my food, which is ideal and my preference these days. But other times, you know, we're busy and people have rehearsals and practices and clubs and places they have to be or meetings. And so I run into the grocery store and grab a couple things to make a fast dinner. Yeah, that's probably more information than you wanted, but I go back and forth. My ideal is meticulously planned meals, and every day we know what's happening, but it's not always reality.
That's what I do, but it's like fluid, you know, like it's not concrete laid out, but like I write a menu. So like on Sunday or Monday, I write a menu for the week. And granted, there's only 2 of us now. Like her oldest son has moved out, so there's only 2 of us. So it's much easier. But I write a menu, and then I literally transfer my recipes right to the grocery list, the items that I don't have. I like conduct inventory of my pantry in the house and add it to the grocery list, and then order it from Food Line. And then I go up to Food Line. Shout out Food Line.
Yes, Food Line is great.
Food Line's great, but you mentioned ordering to go. Shout out Food Line. Food Line is the only grocery chain in Western North Carolina that if you place an order with them, they will just automatically give you a paper bag. You don't have to request it. They will not jam your stuff in 500 plastic bags. So if protecting the environment is your jam, I highly recommend.
I like it.
You moved here for college, is that correct?
I did. I moved in 2002, I came to Western to do undergrad. And then I met my husband here. He's from here. So we got married. We stayed for about a year, moved around the country a lot, and then came back about 8 years ago.
Do you remember what you fell in love with first? Like, what was it about Jackson County, the area, the thing that just hit you that made you think? Like, not necessarily like the first impression, but like the thing that made you say, oh, this is home.
I think it was this like lack of pretentiousness. That growing up in Charlotte, like my family didn't have any money, but I was surrounded by people that had a lot of money. And coming to Western and being in Jackson County, and Western at that time, like my roommate was from Hayesville. A lot of people were from these like small surrounding towns. And so you just got this like different laid back atmosphere where it didn't feel like people were pretending to be somebody they weren't. They weren't pretending to have more than they had. People were just living their lives and getting along. And that was my, like, I don't know, it felt refreshing to be around that.
My childhood was very similar in a sense that we didn't have a lot of money either, but we went to like the most affluent public high school in town.
Yes. Same. Yeah.
I felt like an outsider, like my whole entire, even now, like I don't go to the reunions and those sorts of things because like I don't relate to those people because I'm not one of them. And there was never like, I don't know. I just, no matter what happened, I played sports with them. I tried to do, scholarly activities and things with them, and it just didn't work. They got like brand new trucks for when they turned 16, and Steve had to get a job when he turned 16. So it was like a whole nother ball game. I just feel like
we're different. Yeah.
Very different. Very different. And it felt different. Like they treated me different. You're a mom. And so like the roles are a little bit reversed in that sense. What's the best piece of advice another Jackson County mom has given you for raising kids here?
Oh man, I don't know if it's as advice as much as like, again, I think going back to that lack of pretentiousness, like I feel like I have found good friends, and I always like having friends that are younger than me and not moms too. Like, I feel like that's very grounding, but I feel like I've also been able to find like good mom friends that can talk about the hard things. And that feels really important, right? Like as a mom, sometimes like I remember I have 2 kids, and after I had my first kid, I felt like everybody only ever saw me as a mom. And that's a weird shift to be like, wait, like I'm still a human, right? Like aside from all of these things, like I love being a mom and I'm still a human. And so I think it's been a good place for me to be able to find mom friends who do their own things and are like their own person and aren't afraid to be their own people while also being moms. And being able to like be genuine, like that's I don't know. And so it's not really advice. I think maybe just like having other people to live that out with feels really good.
Yeah. Sounds like sense? It makes sense. You wear a lot of hats.
Yeah.
How do you juggle them all? How do you juggle all of the hats?
Sometimes I would say I don't. Like I feel like they just all fall to the ground, right? It's like you try to do too much, and I don't know, it's like sometimes I feel like I have a better grasp on it than other times, but I think it's like I have a really good husband. He's like very grounding, he's very supportive, he's very kind and loving, and so I think that's another like that's a piece, right? And then something that I talk about a lot is like and I think this goes back to maybe like having so many siblings and having a house that was always full. I like being in community, right? Like I want to be with other people. So there's nothing that I'm ever doing that I feel like I'm doing on my own. That's a big deal, right? If it's friends, if it's coworkers, if it's my husband, if it's my kids, like it's like having support systems are the way that things happen. Like I don't want to I never want to be a person operating on my own, and I'm not. Like I have really good community and really good supports and feel like I really get to do a lot of these things alongside other people.
Yeah. And like all the divisiveness is kind of just like a smokescreen when you break it down to like what's really happening in our community. What you just described is what's actually happening in our community.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I think like I've worked with kids and with families a lot. And I just feel like the more you interact with people, the more you know we don't operate in silos. And we can't. And nobody really wants to, right? And so yeah, all this divisiveness that's attempting to tear that down is gross. And I think in the long run isn't going to be successful. Like people don't genuinely want that.
Yeah.
Most
Since
people anyway.
since we both grew up in like metropolitan cities. I would like to propose to you, if you win, can we host and have a District 1 block party? And if so, what dish are you bringing to the block party?
Ooh, this is so fun. It maybe depends on the time of year, right? But right, this would be March. So a March block party.
Well, let's say
There are
like
a couple things.
let's say like you win the election, like so we're moving forward. It's
Ooh,
like
in
maybe,
November.
yeah.
November.
Like we
Okay.
win fall.
I'm bringing baked brie and potentially like a soup, like a good. I don't eat meat, and so I'm very conscious of like I try for like a potluck situation to have like a vegan option. I'm not vegan, but I feel like it's pretty easy to go from vegetarian to a vegan dish. And so brie would be my non-vegan option. And then some sort of like a hearty, like fall kind of soup.
Yeah. Dealing with everything. How old are your kids?
11 and 13.
Okay.
And they both have birthdays, like their birthdays in May and June. So we're looking at 12 and 14 real soon.
Yeah. Summer parties.
Yes.
Being involved in all this local government stuff and really staying engaged. How do you explain some of these like concepts and teach some of that to your children?
Yeah. This is a hard one. So something from the beginning, like my background is in mental health. I am a trained therapist, right? Like my husband is just genuinely like naturally a very thoughtful person. And so I think for us, kind of the goal from the beginning was thoughtful, caring children that can think critically. Those felt like from the very beginning, those are the things we kind of want to uphold in our house. And so we have two really great kids that are thoughtful, caring, critical thinkers. Sometimes that critical thinking gets turned on us, and that's hard. But, or, that's something else. Like they're reasoners, right? And my husband and I were both like, my undergraduate degree's in philosophy. And my husband was like philosophy minor. And so we are the people that want to have the conversations and want to have the hard conversations. And so we've never really shied away from that. And I think we try to be as honest as we can with an age appropriate lens, right? So let's have the conversations about what's happening in the world, but maybe leave out some of the nasty details, right? So some general, like, these things are happening, these people are harming people, these people aren't listening to people, these people aren't being transparent. We want to make positive change, and we want to be involved. And again, like, those are things we want to instill in our kids. Our kids this morning, after church, went to the peace rally that Indivisible was hosting, and my sister took my kids to get lunch first. But then I was like, after we kind of felt out the vibe and things felt safe and things felt good, it was like, bring the kids down here so they can see how this happens. And that's a cool opportunity, because something I've loved about these rallies in Jackson County is that you have these older adults who were protesting Vietnam. And they're incredible, right? Like, they've done all of this work. They've been through so many things, and they know how to push back against some of these injustices. And so it's also like, it's really cool to get to talk to my kids about that, to be like, this guy was 14 and protesting Vietnam with his brother, right? Like, that is like, to look at these people and to show that to my kids and say, yeah, there are all these hard things happening. And look at these really cool people who have been fighting for the right things for a really long time.
Those are the people that I need to latch on to and that have all the wisdom that I'm looking for.
Yes. I even see it like in their signs, right? I'm like, how did you, they have practice.
They're always the best. How do you approach difficult conversations? Because that's one of like, as a county commissioner, that's something that you're going to be faced with. Like, how do you, in your personal life, how do you approach them?
I don't know. Like, I think maybe something's wrong with me, but like, I've never been a person to say I hate conflict. Like, I feel like so many people hate conflict. And I'm like, why? Like, why do we hate that? And I think for me, I kind of see conflict as like, oh, you work through a difference and you come out on the other side. And if you can work through something and come out on the other side, usually everybody's better off for it, right? Like, avoidance of conflict makes me uncomfortable, and like, I don't get it. I don't like hanging in this space of not knowing or like waiting to see what somebody's going to say or how something's going to play out. And so I am really like a head-on person in a lot of ways, that again, it's like opportunity to work through a problem. And sure, like sometimes I have a hard time with that, or sometimes it feels more intimidating than other times. But I've also, again, with like with my professional background, I am helping people work through really hard things, like the hardest things in their lives. And so it's all a learning curve, but it's like, you have to, like, who are we if we're not having hard conversations, right? Like, superficial, surface level things, and that, I don't feel like that serves people well.
Yeah. I knew you were the bulldog because your best, I don't follow traditional, paths. And I knew you were a bulldog. Your best video that you're putting out is when your 3-minute public comment, when you're like, Jenny, you did this, and Todd, you did this, and you just went name by name all down the line.
Yeah, they made me mad.
Yeah.
And it felt like, I signed, it's funny because that I'd spoken at other meetings, and that meeting I signed up to speak, and I was like, I don't know, there are so many people here. There were so many people there to speak at that meeting, but I felt so appalled by how inappropriate those commissioners had been before the meeting even really started, right? Like, they had this massive police presence that didn't send, right? And it's like, my father-in-law is a police officer. He's an SRO. He loves his job. Kids love him. He's like a nice, friendly, like, give high fives, and kids get to like hang out with him as a privilege. Like, they get to earn it at school. But like, so like, not to be disrespectful to our police officers, but to be like, why did the county feel like what they needed to do was call in SWAT from Asheville? And then, right, and then those commissioners, like, that's how they started that meeting. And everybody was like, it felt like it was increasing tensions unnecessarily from the beginning. And then most of those commissioners sat up there and said how they felt about the library, and basically that they had their minds made up before they listened to anybody, right? It was appalling. And yeah, they needed to be called out. Like, they need to keep being called out, right?
Yeah, continue that, please. Do you consider yourself like an overthinker? Like, do you consider yourself like, how do you manage all of the pieces? How do you not get swirled?
An SSRI to like help me.
Yeah.
I don't know. And again, a lot of support and a lot of like coming home to my husband and being like, I'm so upset about this thing. I'm so frustrated by this thing. But I think that was also like, I'm a big believer in anger as a secondary emotion. Like, I don't think that anger is a primary emotion. So when I feel angry, it's like, what else is happening, right? And usually it's like some sort of disappointment or feeling sad. And a lot of that, I think I've been this way since I was a kid. And so since I was a kid, it's been like standing up for people or busying myself moving something towards justice, right? Like moving something towards a good place. Because otherwise I'm going to sit around really angry and I'm going to be a miserable person, right? So I think that's kind of how I deal with it, is by like doing things that I believe are going to like move us toward justice and towards what is right and towards what is good.
Yeah. I remember like being in early 12-step rooms as a younger person in the early days, and hanging around with like a bunch of the old timers that have been there for decades and decades. And they would tell me, Steve, I've broken this down. I've done it so many times. We're looking at like character defects, working the steps.
Yeah.
Like, everything, all of it, it all gets broken down to fear, anger, or resentment. It's one of those three things is like the primary. And then everything else is a secondary emotion based off of that. But that's the primary driver of what's going on. Fear, anger, or
it's like there's something behind that, right? And it's like the thing that's behind that is usually the more important thing, right? Mm-hmm. It's like you're angry, sure, what are you going to do with it? But you're hurt or you're disappointed or you're sad. And it's like those are the things that are worth digging into and addressing, right? I don't know. That's my take. I think it's
you win the position, right? You win Tuesday in the Democratic primary, and then you win in November, and you're a county commissioner. You're on the board.
We have a block party.
We have after the block party. How do you continue to like maintain that mindset of like the outsider accountability? Like, you've been the accountability person for these commissioners. How do you continue to have that same focus that you've had throughout this?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting question. And I think some of it is, and I think this is weird, but it's like, I think I'm a person that's like I feel like I have these personality traits and it pulls me in a direction, right? And so I think one of the things that I've always like, regardless of kind of what level of work I am at, I never want to be a person who is far removed from the people who are being impacted, right? So like, just kind of naturally who I am. It's like, I want to stay connected to people. And I don't have fears of that going away, because that's who I am, right? And I've said this before, like, I'm not running for county commissioner as a way to be involved. I'm running for county commissioner because I've been involved and want like a new, different way to be involved and hold people accountable. And so I think a lot of it is going to be able to listen, right? Like, we have had these county commissioners, they have people coming up to them, and we saw this with the library. I've been told to never talk about this gas station again, but like, we saw it with the gas station, right? Like, we see people coming to the county commissioners saying, this is what we want, or this is what we don't want. And our commissioners like, I have my mind made up, right? But it's not. And I think maybe some of that is the way that like people view these positions. I think it is kind of this position of power, because you have a lot of decision-making power happening. it should also be seen as a service, right? Like, as elected officials, people are there to serve the community. And I think that's the part that our current county commissioners have missed. They don't see themselves as public servants. They see themselves as people with all the power. And I don't like, again, like my personality, my training, my education is all, how do you serve people better? How do you serve people more effectively? How do you hear people and what they want and remove yourself, right? Like that's kind of the whole therapist move, is like, how do you be there and listen to people without projecting your own ideas and beliefs onto everything?
And that's not new to you. This is what you do every day in your daily.
Right. It's not new, right? Yeah. And I think maybe that's the difference, is that people aren't used to doing that every day. Most people don't have that training. Most people don't have that background and that education and that like experience of, because like I came into my profession as a young person once, right? And like remember feeling like I knew what was right and I knew what was best, and having to learn that I don't know what's right and best for everybody else. And my goal in my job is to listen and do what people need and what people want, and to help provide people with the resources to get there, right? And that's what county commissioners should be doing.
It also seems like the behaviors that you just described of the current county commissioners, that's kind of newish to Jackson County. Like it hasn't always been that way. Like it's very new, like post-COVID new almost, like.
Yes.
Why so fast? How did that happen so fast?
I have a few theories. And I think one is that if people are paying attention to what's happening at the national level, this is all an agenda, right? And it's not just a national agenda, or maybe it is just a national agenda, but to make their national agenda work, they have to get into these little pockets of local government and local places. And so I think that's part of it. Like, I think it's like a game for some people, right? It's like, oh, we're trying to like check these boxes and get these things done by causing these problems in these small towns, right? Because it should be easy. I think maybe they're saying it's not so easy. I also think there are a lot of people that showed up kind of out of nowhere, got super involved in our local politics, and started causing problems. Whether or not they came here, people are going to think I'm crazy. Some people are. I don't think they just came here on their own accord, right? Like I can think of 4 or 5 people that just kind of showed up in town, started kind of creating this dissent, started getting very involved. Where did they come from? Why are they here? How did this happen? Like immediately, I feel like I moved here, like when we moved back here and I started working in our school system, I worked really hard to make sure that I was respecting the people that were here in this place. Because that matters, because it's like you could come in and just try to bulldoze things down. But that's not my personality, not my training, not my experience, right? Not my education. And so it's interesting to me that what some of us come in, and you probably, I don't remember, how long have you been here?
I moved here in 2014.
Okay. So, but you probably experienced a similar, like, oh, I have to come in and figure out how to like adapt and be a part of this community.
Oh yeah. 100%. 100%.
And and I think there's good reason for that, right? Like I think there's some hesitancy towards outsiders, and I think there's good reason for that. But it's like, where did these people come from? And they just bulldozed their way in. And
influence major shifts in government. Major shifts in government.
Yes. With a lot of money from somewhere.
Yeah.
which I find mind blowing. I'm like, all of a sudden you like are coming out of the woodwork. You have all of this money. You're influencing Jackson County, Macon County. You're making these big pushes. Like what is happening? And it feels like part of a larger agenda to me, right? None of this feels like Jackson County. It feels like part of something that somebody from the outside is trying to impress on this place.
Yeah, throwing up a new billboard every week, and give me a break.
The
Give me a
billboard.
break. What is the long-term goal? Like why? Like what do you think the long-term goal is? Do you have a theory?
I mean, I feel like the long-term goal is to create dissent. The long-term goal is to pull people apart. Like, I think largely, I have friends that live in other places, right? That are very like left-leaning places, and they do not encounter people that are different from them. They're kind of like in these bubbles by themselves. I feel like in Jackson County, you do have people from a lot of different backgrounds. You have people with varying beliefs and different ideas. But for the most part, it's felt like there is still this idea of we take care of each other and we help each other, and we're going like, you're not gonna right? If I break down on the side of the road, it's chances of a Republican stopping to help me typically would be pretty high, right? Like, right? And nobody's going to ask about it and nobody's going to know, but they're going to be nice and they're going to be respectful and I'm going to be appreciative and I'm going to be thankful. And like, I feel like that's how it's been. But there's this, and so it's interesting to me, right, that it feels like people coming from the outside to cause problems and to create divisions. And I don't get it. Like, I think you have to be a little bit crazy to get it, but like, I don't understand people's desire to do that.
Yeah. Or even participate. Like,
right. Or even to participate.
Yeah. I've heard you talk about symbolic victories from the folks. What does a practical victory look like when Casey Walawender is a county commissioner? Give me an example of a practical victory.
Yeah. I have so many ideas. How many do you want to hear? Like, two? One? I think one very basic practical victory is that when I think about the library meetings, and there's this, again, this goes deeper than the library to me, right? Like, I think there's all this stuff. It's about money. It's about power. It's about control. It's about queer identities. It's about diversity. It's about all these things, right? And there was a lot of hate spewed in those meetings, and a lot of really awful things that were said in those meetings. And none of our current commissioners were willing to say, I don't think this is Jackson County. I don't think this is right. I don't think it's appropriate for people to stand here and accuse, right? Like, there were people accusing queer people of coming after our kids, right? Those are very serious allegations. People accusing librarians of grooming kids. Those are very serious allegations. And some of that moves on at some point for me. It's like, at what point do we acknowledge that as hate speech? And at what point do we kind of hold some sort of decorum in those meetings? And so that's something that feels really important to me. And that it's sad to me that I couldn't bring my kids to those meetings My kids should be able to come to those meetings. They should be able to experience our local government working and operating and people like performing their civic duties. But I couldn't bring my kids. Like I wouldn't, because of the things that people were saying that felt like I don't, again, it's like there's some things that I don't want my kids to have to experience the reality of at their ages, right? And one of those things is people being so grotesquely like inappropriate and harmful. And so that's one thing that I look at. And I think about like this idea of, again, like Jackson County for a small town is really diverse, right? We have people who have lived here, whose families have lived here for generations. We have our Cherokee people who have lived here way longer than that. We have people that are coming in. We have our Hispanic populations. We have like all of these communities and like groups of people that I think deserve to be respected in our schools, deserve to be respected by our police, deserve to be respected in our library, right? Like, and so that's something that's like just a very basic, let's treat people like humans.
It's such a simple concept. It is such a simple concept. Why? I don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's disappointing, right? That it even has to be like a conversation. Because again, like who are the people coming in and doing this and why? But it's, yeah. Yeah. It seems like a simple concept, right? But for some reason
it's not that hard. Why is the Jackson County Board of Education so disconnected from the county commissioners and what's going on? Like, when did that start? How did we get so? I don't know. It seems like they don't even communicate with each other at all.
No. And so this is really interesting. I was talking, because again, I worked for the school system for 6 years, and I've seen and watched some of these things happen. And somebody told me, he served on our school board for a long time, that the school board and the county commissioners before like the early 1990s never met together. And then they would just give the school board like a flat amount every year. And it was like pennies, like $250,000 a year, maybe. And that's all the school board got from the county. And so I was told that the first time they met together was in the early 1990s. They had to have a mediator. And it took, I'm not kidding.
Who are these people?
And they, right? And that they met for weeks, like that it was 2 weeks of them meeting with a mediator to try to get some basic things taken care of and under control. So that's some interesting history and background, right? Like that's wild to me. And
that sounds worse than a nasty divorce.
Right. Yeah. And why? Like this is, I think something people don't realize and understand is that even if you don't have kids in Jackson County, the school board it's like we have our county commissioners and then we have our school board. And those are huge decision-making bodies for our county. And they should be working together, in my opinion. And it's alarming to me that they don't work together. I was also told that there was like a long time where it was like, you can't, as a school board member, go talk to a county commissioner. Like you shouldn't be doing it. Doesn't make sense to me, right? And so I think it's going to take, I don't, and again, this comes back to me feeling this idea of like none of us operate in a vacuum. And Jackson County is too small for our school board and our county commissioners to pretend that they don't have to interact. And I've been to, right, so I don't remember, it was like a year ago when the school board first came to the county, and the school board had all of these like assessments done of the schools, and if they were overcrowded, how the space was being utilized, if they were ADA compliant, all of these things. So the school board initially kind of shares this with the county commissioners. And then a month ago, it was very clear when they came together again that it was the first time in a year that they've done that, right? It's wild, because now the school board is asking for lots of millions of dollars, like
lots,
which I don't, it all seems reasonable to me, right? Like, I've been in these schools, I've worked in these schools. Yeah. Fairview should be ADA compliant, right? Like, that shouldn't be optional. There are all of these things. Blue Ridge should have an actual kitchen and cafeteria space, right? It's like these things should be happening, but they should be happening with more conversations, right? We have like the county has a $60 million bond right now, and half of that is going to build the middle school.
That carries $8 million of interest.
Yeah, yes.
$8 million of interest.
Money. So I'm not saying our schools don't need these things, but where is the communication, and where is the like, it's not that hard to like pick up your phone, or like, why aren't county commissioners going to a school board meeting? Right? We have several times at our county commissioners meetings, you have people from the school district who are there that have to present things or talk about things or ask for things, but I don't see our county commissioners at a school board meeting ever.
And it seems like if you're working on a project of such a scale, that they would be like even more nurturing those relationships to ensure that the project goes smoothly.
Yes. And that there's like a solid plan, right? It's like those county commissioners, I don't know if you were at their last joint meeting, but they like open up these packets and you see their jaws drop when like literally.
So that kind of ties me to a question that I was getting at here shortly. And that is like all of the meetings, every county commissioners meeting that I have observed. I don't go to the meetings. I watch them later on because they're taking place as I'm getting off of work. So when I get home, my routine is to watch them first thing Wednesday morning, like as soon as I wake up the following day. But the observations that I make, doesn't matter what the topic is. As soon as the topic gets brought up, Jenny and Todd and everybody, they start ruffling through all their papers because they haven't read none of it. And you see Jenny just fumbling through all of the papers, trying to figure out what are we even talking about, you know? And I don't know if they're not prepared or not. I'm just saying the observation of a constituent.
They're not preparing. We can say that.
They're not prepared. Okay. The observation of a citizen is that they're not prepared. And so like, how would you approach, like, say a colleague, say you get this position, how are you going to handle colleagues, co-commissioners that aren't prepared? Like, how do we, hopefully we win these 3 seats in November. We don't have to worry about it.
Right. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. But I think some of it is like changing the expectation, right? It's like for most of them to be unprepared is inappropriate. It's like they're not getting paid a ton, but they're getting paid something. They're elected officials. Like it says something about it, just like speaks to their work ethic for me, right? That like never would I want to show up, and sure, things happen, right? But not every single meeting to be completely unprepared, not have done your research, not have looked through anything. It's like, first of all, I think we changed the expectation of like, hey, you had this 2 weeks ago. You should have been looking at this. I think another part needs to be, we're not going to vote on this, right? The number of times. Yeah. You have something to say? Go ahead.
No, you're like the third candidate that's brought this up. Everyone sees it. It's like, yeah, they're
everyone but
voting on
them.
stuff that they're not prepared to vote on.
Yeah. So like if we're not prepared to vote on it, we don't vote on it and hold them accountable, right? Like I don't have any problem looking at Jenny Hooper and saying, it's clear that you didn't do your homework on this, so the county's going to have to wait. The county's going to have to wait until our next meeting. Like, try to come prepared next time, right? And hold up the vote. And this happened like even with our FRL board, right? There was somebody that said, we don't have an attorney. We don't have an attorney. We don't have an attorney. I don't feel comfortable voting on these things. I don't think we should vote on these things. They just did it anyway.
As they should. Yeah, as they should not feel comfortable.
They should want an attorney, but they're all like, meh, we don't really care. We're going to vote anyway. And they're making wild decisions that way. And our county commissioners, like, also, I think, gosh, damn, it's like the amount of money, right? It's like they're just like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, 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 yes. It's like, have you looked at our budget? Do you know if we have money to say yes to this right now?
Yeah, they have, you know the answer.
They haven't looked at the budget. They don't know if we have money, and they just want to say yes to what they want to say yes to, and they want to say no to what they want to say no to, and they don't like. None of it seems like an informed decision.
Where are the blind spots in regards to like the current regimes, like spending? Where are the blind spots? I know we're 51 minutes into an hour-long podcast.
Yeah. It feels like they're mostly blind spots. Like, at least most of them, right? Like, there are times that I can go after a meeting and I can talk to Mark Letson and he can explain something to me, or Todd Bryson can explain something to me. But I know. But most of them, most of the time, don't know what they're doing. They don't, and I've said this like multiple times recently, I feel really concerned about all of the cuts that are coming. We're already seeing SNAP cuts. We're looking at cuts to who has Medicaid. We're looking at cuts to how providers are paid for Medicaid, right? It's like 5 to 13% based on the service, right? Or 3 to 13. I don't remember what the low end is, but it's like our hospitals and our healthcare providers are only able to operate in Jackson County because of Medicaid payouts. Our grocery stores can only stay open because of SNAP benefits, right? So even the people that aren't getting those services, what happens when every grocery store in Jackson County closes down because they can't afford to be here anymore? What happens when all of we already have problems with healthcare providers, right? Like what happens when in our mental health providers, right? Like what happens when none of them can afford to operate here anymore because of those cuts? Nobody's talking, like our county commissioners are not talking about it. We had kids last year, the year before, it's probably still happening, and like no offense to DSS at all, but like kids living at DSS.
I've heard that from a few sources.
And I've seen it with my own eyeballs, right? And so it's like, some of that is a funding issue, right?
Or managing of money and mismanagement of money.
Right. And I think that why isn't the county having a conversation about it, right? And they'll listen, right? Like Chris Weatherford came to the county commissioners meeting. He told them all the things that they need. He told them about all the cuts that are going to come. He told them how many kids are on SNAP and on Medicaid. They haven't talked about it since then. And that's the kind of thing that I'm like, we could be looking at some very dire circumstances. And again, we still don't have a state budget. We don't know how or if the state is planning on accommodating any of these cuts. So when we look at the money that's going to have to come, like, how are we making up for this as a county? And there's no discussion. And right now, I think that might be our biggest blind spot, is that they're saying yes, 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 and maybe they see $100,000, like whatever, however, like $1 million in the bank, and they're like, oh, look at our budget, it's huge. It's not a lot of money to run a whole county. They don't get it, right?
Fiscal responsibility is something that's been highly talked about for obvious reasons during this election cycle. How does Casey Walawender balance fiscal responsibility while remaining humanely compassionate towards our neighbors? Like, how do we balance that pendulum?
I think it's going to be one of the hardest things.
Yeah. Like,
there's not going to be an easy way, but it's also like, I don't think it's going to be easy in the beginning, but it's like, with correct planning and conversation, maybe long-term benefits play out, right? But some of it is going to have to be like, our commissioners are going to have to figure out. I don't see them saying no to spending money ever. Like, I don't know that I've ever been to a meeting and money has been asked for and they've said no, or they've said, we need, right? Like with the school board, it's like, we need a 10-year plan. Let's figure out what your 10-year plan is. Let's prioritize things. And let's pay attention. Like, they're not doing that. They don't want to look like it's wild with all the things they do. But I think for somewhere in their brains, they don't want to look like bad guys. And so every time there's a request for money, they say yes, if they understand it or not, right? Yeah. Like, they don't know what half these organizations are doing. They're not looking over finances. They're not saying, oh, can these two nonprofits figure out a way to do this better together and save us some money, right? They're throwing a shit ton. Can I say shit ton?
You can say anything you want.
Throwing a shit ton of money at the library already, right? And we haven't even officially left. And it's already costing us $350,000. And they're claiming it will like the most recent numbers were that it would cost $500,000 more a year. They're already close to that without even leaving. What is there like? But I think it's some of that piece too of like being prepared. Like, look at the paperwork in front of you before the meeting, so you're not making a decision under pressure.
Much of the recent spending from them, they're blaming like past regimes. They'll say, well, we're taking care of things that should have been taken care of 10 years ago and things that should have been taken care of 20 years ago. That stuff that's just been kicked down the road a little bit. What do you say to that?
Maybe, but this is the thing that I like that I think about a lot. I remember someone telling me, it was an assistant DA one time, was like, it's not our fault that this person's doing blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it's not your fault, but now it's your responsibility, right? And that's a line I use working with kids a lot. Like, maybe it wasn't your fault, but now it's your responsibility. And so maybe they are having to do that, but like, that doesn't excuse them and their poor decision making, right? Like, now it's their responsibility.
Yeah, it just feels like a pass the buck. Like, oh, they're trying to justify it, but then really, like, I don't know. I don't know. There's some folk they do turn down certain things. They really do.
Yeah.
being an activist in the community, you're somebody that young people look up to, Casey. You are. What do you say to that next young lady that's sitting in the Jackson County Commissioners board room, taking notes, just kind of paying attention, the future activists of Jackson County? How do you wish to inspire them and make them feel?
I immediately, as you're talking about this, I'm thinking about the Young Dems. And one of the last meetings, one of the last county commissioners meetings, one of the Young Dems was there. And it was maybe the first time she had been to a county commissioners meeting. And she had heard a lot. She's very engaged. She's kept up with a lot of things, but like seeing it with her own eyes was shocking. And I think it is. It's just like, I don't know. I feel like this need to, like, I've been so impressed by the Young Dems in Jackson County. They're like super aware of what's happening. They're engaged. They're doing their community service on a regular basis. They're like keeping up with it. And I think, I don't know, like I think a lot of them are doing it. It's like keep paying attention, keep fighting. I think some of it is like to be active in a community. It's something that feels important for me as like trying to stay true to who I am, regardless of who other people are, right? So I know there are people talking shit about me behind my back. There are people talking shit about me to my face, right? Like, but it's something that's like, when you know that you're doing the right thing, you let all that stuff go, right? And you surround yourself with other people doing the right thing.
Yeah, and that's just a metaphor for life. I mean, there's going to be people talking shit about you, no matter if you're an elected official, if you're sitting in the county commissioners meeting as an observer, regardless, everybody's got something to say, you know?
Yes. And this is a funny, I love this one. And I share this with like middle school girls a lot, but it was it's a Reese Witherspoon quote.
Let's go.
But she said, what other people think about me is none of my business.
So true.
It's so true. What other people think about me is none of my business. Like, and sometimes it hurts and sometimes it feels crummy, but in the long run, it's like, I'm not going to say the words I want to say right now, but like, go ahead. Like you do you, I'm going to do me.
Fuck around and find out.
Look around and find out. Like, fuck you. Like, if this is what, like, if you know, and it's like, there's also something about like being a woman that I have been told by numerous men how intimidating I am. And at this point in life, I feel like good. Like if you were intimidated by me, like that's your fault and like, fine.
Well, that's a look in the mirror moment because you're like
that is
kind
a look in the
and
mirror moment,
like,
right? Like,
yeah,
like fine. Like so what? Like that's you, right?
Yeah. But it's also like it really is something that takes intentional effort. I personally didn't learn how to even like think that way until much later in life. You know, after like a lot of intensive internal work was I able to like let those things go. And so if most folks aren't capable of doing that because life's busyness and whatever, it takes a lot of effort to come to a point to like honestly not let those things bother you.
Yeah. And I think I go in and out, right? Like I think when I was much younger, I was like, I don't care. Right. And then you become a mom and then you get older and then it's like, you know, it's like these waves of like learning and relearning. And again, it's like surrounding yourself, I think, with good people always, right? It's like having the friends that like don't even know what somebody said about you, but they'll be like, F them, you're amazing. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to start wrapping it up with you. I just want to ask you a couple last questions before you can go spend the rest of your beautiful Sunday with your family. What do you say to the person who feels like their voice doesn't matter in Jackson County, or that their voice is unheard? How do you empathize with that person and maybe invite them back or invite them into your world?
Yeah. I think, man, it's something that makes me really sad, right? Like it's something that makes me sad when people feel that way, because I think, unfortunately, a lot of people have been made to feel that way, or they have reasons that they feel that way, right? Like people have said something, or they've been treated in such a way that that happens. And there's nothing I know how to say that doesn't sound cheesy, but like I genuinely feel like we, again, I think I struggle with this thing back and forth of like, I want to be an advocate and like be a voice for people that feel like they don't have a voice, and also help them find their voice, right? And some people aren't going to be loud, and some people aren't. It's like we all have like our different personalities and our different strengths. And I feel like use the strengths that you have, right? Like do the thing that you are good at. And, I have this friend who this morning at church was talking about, they live by themselves, and they were just talking about feeling lonely and having a really hard time with that. And one of their ideas that they've been thinking about is starting a podcast for people that live alone and interviewing people that live alone. And I think what a cool way to like use your voice and to bring other people up at the same time, right? Like she's struggling through a thing, and she can also recognize that she's not the only one struggling. So it's like bring it, like use your strengths, whatever they are, right? Like go and volunteer somewhere, go and be somewhere, talk to your friends, take care of your cats. Like right? It's like do the thing that you're good at. And if you want a voice, like call me. Like I don't know. It's like I mean that in a very genuine way of like, let's figure out where your place is. Let's find the voice you want to have, right? Like that's what I do. That's what I like doing, is like, how do we bring people into the fold of what is happening?
Yeah. At work, I just try to like create space so that their voice can be heard. Like you mentioned, it might just be like the volume might just be turned down a little bit. And if I just need to silence the room a little bit in order to hear you, you're just not talking loud enough, or whatever the case may be, but just creating that space for them to be as they are in that moment.
Yeah. Because it's like, it's this, I don't know. I think we all struggle sometimes with who we are and who we aren't, right? And it's like, let's figure out who you are and who you want to be and where you want to be and how you want your voice to be heard. And like, let's make it happen, like.
Yes, I'm all about that. I am all about that. If I was to ask your children, what is mom's superpower, what would they say?
This is interesting. I think first, jokingly, they would say that I love to take naps. And I'm really good at sleeping. So that would be their first thing. And then one of my kids told me the other day that they were talking with their friends, and they said, Mom, it's really cool that you're so open. My 11-year-old said this, right? Like, Mom, me and my friends think it's really cool that you're so open and you're so accepting of other people. And that, I don't know, like that feels good, right? Because I think when kids are figuring out who they are, like to have an adult that they can look at and say, oh, this person is going to accept me for who I am. This person's going to let me be who I am. So I think that would be it, that I care about people. One of my kids regularly is like, Mom, you're the best mom ever. Even when they don't want something.
Who was that person for you? Who was that person that saw those things in you?
I had, I know a lot of people have really negative experience with churches, and a lot of young people have gone through things and things have been bad, and so I don't want to diminish that honestly in any way, because I know that happens. And I feel like I was really, really lucky. So like my parents were not those people for me growing up. But we started going to church when I was in like middle school. And I had this whole group of adults that were that way for me. They were loving, they were caring. I had one couple in particular that I was there, like, I was the first babysitter for their daughter. Like when they left her with somebody, I was the person, and they're the ones that encouraged me to go to college and to kind of figure out who I was. And yeah, so I feel really, and again, I know that's not everybody's experience, but I think for me, my experience was I had these adults that really were like never creepy and never weird. And they were always like very loving and would take the time to sit with me and talk with me when I was upset. And they would take the time to work through hard things with me and let me just be myself. And I really, that time in my life was really, really special and really important. And there are a lot of adults during that time that provided that for me.
Awesome. Casey, thank you for coming on. How can people find you if they still haven't decided who they're going to vote for in the next 48 hours? Ooh. And they want to reach out? How can they find you to ask you more questions? What's the best way to get in touch?
Like making social medias for a campaign were kind of awful. Like I don't know what it is. But Casey Walawender for Jackson County Commissioner is my Facebook, and a lot of things have been going there. And my email, do you know what my email address is? It's Casey, I'm going to find it. Casey4JacksonNC@gmail.com.
Boom. Casey for JacksonNC.com.
Nope, that's wrong. Casey4JacksonNC@gmail.com.
CaseyforJacksonNC@gmail.com.
That's how emails work.
Yeah. Who are you gonna be racing in November? Who are you going up against? Is it gonna be Sutton or Sequoia?
The Republicans are pushing Sequoia.
I know.
They're pushing Sequoia. I think it'll be interesting because I think he has maybe a lot of community involvement experience, but I think I don't think it's as expansive.
Yeah. That's very kind of you, Casey.
It's different.
All right. I was gonna say, after the primary on Tuesday, we're going to be live on Tuesday night covering live results as they publish them on the website. We're releasing them here. So if you want to pop back in and just say hey on Tuesday night, celebrate with us, you're definitely invited. You'll have a link in your email in the morning. Perfect. You can just pop in and say, I'm extending that invitation to every single candidate. So we're just going to have we're going to have Steve's block party on Tuesday night. And then we'll have the big block party out in November.
At 7-ish. Is that what she said? I'm
starting at 7 and I'm going to go until all the results are in. My previous, every year somehow I have no idea how I got this job, but, when I first moved here, somehow my name got shared with like somebody, whatever. I got a job as a poll reporter and for like a media company. And then every single election they would call me back. And so I did it every single time there was an election. I would just go up to the Board of Elections at about 7:00 and I would sit there as all 13 of the precincts close and physically drive the ballots from wherever they are in Jackson County to the Board of Elections through the little chain link gate that opens up on the side and makes a bunch of noise. I would sit there until every precinct showed up. And usually just a few minutes after the precinct showed up, they dumped the data into the system. So by like 10 p.m. ish, you should know if you won or not.
10 p.m. Okay.
So
And then we know
on
what to do for the next several months, right?
Yeah. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
And I look forward to helping you as best I can. I really do. So
yeah. Awesome.
We shall be in touch. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you, Casey. She's amazing. Hit her up, follow her. Don't forget to vote. We'll see y'all on Tuesday night. Thank you.
Thank you so much.